Where's Scott Emerson, my pitching coach?
Hey, I'm right here.
How are you, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Season's over.
Man, it's hard. It's hard to believe that baseball season's done with. It's gut wrenching, I guess.
All right, I did the calculation. I don't know if I'm 100% correct, but I believe we are 98 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting.
Man, and I can't wait. It's going to be exciting times, in my opinion. A great spring training to run out our guys and watch them battle for their jobs and see the exciting players that are going to come in and the new players that will probably go out and try to sign, in my opinion. And spring training is always a good time to watch these guys go out and compete and battle.
All right, so when we start like today, if you're watching MLB Network like I was, and you have a lot of the managers that are changing, but down below on the ticker, you start seeing whose options got picked up, whose options were declined. The business of baseball is starting to go. We're going to have free agents start signing. Do you pay attention and follow which pitchers? Immediately I thought of a guy. He's kind of an interesting character, but he throws really hard. Like a Joe Kelly all of a sudden is not going to be back. And I go, you know what? For the right price, Joe Kelly could be a guy in the A's bullpen. Do you sit there and do you monitor which players are going to be available out there?
I think you always, you go out there and follow the trade rumors and follow the hot stoves in the off seasons. But our front office goes out and does the best job that they can to bring in the guys that, we can bring in. And, my job is to go out there and coach them up when I get them. But, there are some interesting names out there, and there's guys that you've watched for years, and you always think, man, it would be fun to have Sean Manaea back or guys like that, So, it is interesting to go and see who's out there, but I let the front office, do their job. They're great at trying to put together the best team that we can possibly run out there on the field.
Yeah, you had such a great relationship with that group, and it was a special group. Obviously, it was a rotation that got you into the postseason. And you think about Bassett, and you think about Manaea, and you think about Frankie Montas and that group. It just really became a special group. That was a very close group, and I know you were very close to them. Speaking of new managers, when you heard Stephen Vogt is the new manager of the Guardians, what were you thinking?
Man, what a great journey for Voter. I was really happy for him. I got to text him. I texted him, told him congratulations. He got back to me. Might have been an hour later, but when you got guys that have a lot of heart and passion and what Stephen Vogt brings to the table, it's good for the Guardians. They're gonna love that guy. They're gonna love his heart. They're gonna love his passion. I saw one tweet out there that somebody already said, "I believe in Stephen Vogt." It's just good for him. And he's a guy that loves this game, who's very passionate about it, and to be able to stay in the game and get a job like this, first of all, he got a good job with the Mariners right out of the chute, and then now he's managing a year later. I couldn't be more happy for him.
But he's never managed before. I mean, that's a reality. And it's funny, the day that David Ross, remember we were all so oh, Rossi's so great, and he's great with the media, and everybody loves Rossi, and he's a World Series champion. On the day that a catcher with no experience gets fired, he's a catcher with no experience gets hired. He's going to need a lot of help. So from a standpoint of staff, how important is bench coach, hitting coach, pitching coach, front office? He's going to need help. How does someone like yourself really have to take the time to understand that he's going to need some direction in a lot of different places?
I think one thing you do is you sit back and you realize that when you're catching and when you're in this game a long time, you're always sitting on the bench, even though you're not the manager of the team. You're thinking about situations. You're thinking about who you would bring into the game. I'm constantly thinking about the pitching and how we're going to play this strategy and how we're going to move into something. It's the manager's job to manage the game, and we have great communications before the game about what we want to do. And then my job is to kind of, if Kotz says, hey, let's go in this direction. If we talked about doing something different before the game, I want to remind him, hey, remember we talked about this before the game, because the game comes at you really quick. And that's what, in my opinion, the managers use their coaches for during the game, is trying to reinforce, the plan that we talked about before the game. And yeah, there are some gut moments where you go with your gut, but the data, that's the first thing we always start with the data. How are we going to play this game? The first thing that Voter has to do, in my opinion, is when he gets his staff together, is talk to him about how we're going to play this season out. What's our process? How we're going to play this game? Whether you want the pitchers to pitch to the big side of the field, 7, 8, 9, or you want them to pitch to their strengths and go after the hitter in that type of way. So you always have to understand what that manager wants. The manager's job is to manage the game. The coach's job is to coach the players and get the most out of their ability to play the game. And then hopefully you collaborate before the game, help out the manager how you're going to do things, whether the hitting coaches and the bench coach are talking about when we're going to use pinch hitters. We're talking about with the bench coach and the pitching coach to the manager when we're going to bring in certain matchups. Who's available today. That's one thing a lot of people don't understand, is not every reliever is available each and every day.
No doubt.
When is it a good time to, you're down 4, you might go to somebody else to hopefully he can just finish the game and save the rest of the bullpen. Voter's going to go out of the chute like anybody else and want to win as many games as you possibly can. You just, like I think we talked about on that last episode, how do you manage that bullpen? And that's where you use your resources, and that's your analytic department and your coaching staff.
That's a great point. You mentioned people don't know, but correct?
Yeah, each and every day, during our throwing program, myself and the bullpen coach are walking the line. We do have a usage sheet that we use as a guideline that tells us whether the guy should be capable of pitching or not pitching, but communication with the relievers of how you're feeling today. Sometimes, some of those guys, and I want them to be honest, some of those guys will go, I think I can give you an inning. Then you start to know, okay, I got to be smart enough to know that verbiage is probably, he's not really sure of himself. Some guys will say, hey, today. And some guys will say, I feel great. I'm ready to rock and roll. So you start understanding their verbiage. And, some guys will kind of tell you, let's go back to Liam Hendriks when he pitched that game against the White Sox and he went 2+ innings. The next day he told me, I don't feel great. I can give you an inning, but I don't feel great. And we went with Liam anyways, and that was the day he was throwing 100 miles an hour, and he saved the last game against the White Sox, and we moved on to the next round. I think at that point in time, Liam feeling it at 80% was just good enough for us to use him to save the game.
Then don't you think it would be helpful to tell the post-game show guy who's available, who's not? So when all the callers call after the game and complain that this guy didn't get used and this guy didn't get used, I could then say, well, there's a reason.
Well, I think, Townie, you played this game. You're smart enough. You could probably cover it and say, hey, this guy pitched 2 days in a row. They probably didn't want to go for a third day in a row.
Fans don't care. They go, he's getting paid millions of dollars. He should throw every game.
Yeah, I hear you. And sometimes that's the case. And, but it's, sometimes you just really have to manage people too, and what they can do and what they can't do.
All right. This one thing I want to get into, and I thought about it. I was in Reno this weekend. It was our guys' football trip, and we were betting football weekend. And just looking at the numbers, and I know we talked about this a little bit, but the teams that score first this postseason were 32-9. Folks, that's a 780 winning percentage. If we were winning gambling at a 780 percentage, we'd be billionaires, right? A gambler wins, a successful gambler is like 52% of the time. If you're winning as any sports team, 780 is incredible. I hear all the time how long the season is. Well, an NFL season's long, NBA, they're all long now. It's is there a way from a mental standpoint to really throughout a season keep the urgency? Because to me, when I saw the Braves the last 2 years, I see the Dodgers the last 2 years, they flopped. They have no urgency. They cruise into the postseason, and the other teams, they've got sharp knives, they're ready to go, and these guys, boom, 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 they're gone. Is there a way to keep up the urgency in a baseball season, even though we play every day and it's a long season? Because, boy, when it comes time to play postseason baseball, the numbers say it. Score first, every out, every pitch, defense, field every ball. The teams that play with that urgency are the teams that do well in postseason play.
Yeah, I think in the postseason, you're always trying to win every inning, in my opinion. Try to shut down inning, try to score a run. And like we talked about on the previous episodes, when you score runs and you take the lead, your pitchers feel a little bit more at ease, whether it's true or not. But when you're winning the baseball game, the pressure's on the team that's losing, so they have to fight to do more. That's why packing on runs is important. Sometimes moving runners over earlier in the game just to gain that advantage. Look, you just said the number. So what am I trying to do? Score first. Do anything you can to take that lead. In my opinion, even if it's early in the game, even if it's the regular season, always try to score first and put pressure on the other team.
Yeah, so is there something that we could do from a standpoint with the players to make sure, especially teams that are really good, to like play those tricks, play those mental tricks, do something, and stop saying, "Hey, it's the dog days of summer." It may be the dog days of summer, but in a month and a half, you're in the postseason, and it's a doggy dog world. So, and everybody's wearing milk bone underwear. Thank you, Norm. Cheers. But I mean, that's the way it is. So it's like, how do you keep urgency going through a long season? Can you do it? Is it even possible?
Well, it's always trying to keep your players motivated to go out there and a lot of players and we're always playing for the name on the chest, but we're also playing for the name on the back, as well. My dad always told me, don't go out there and embarrass yourself. Play hard, give it everything you got each and every day. And if you look at like what the best players in any sport do, they're just relentless. Those are the guys that just go out there, and when you're down, they keep kicking you. They go after you. When Michael Jordan won championship 3, he held up 4 fingers. He was already ready to win another championship the next year. When he won championship 4, he held up 5 fingers. I'm going after number 5. And just, the elite of the elite are never satisfied, in my opinion. They just want to keep getting better and better. And those guys can get better because they have that ability to get better. So, in everything that elite athletes do, they want to win. You play a game of ping pong, they want to win. They want to get after it. They're not just playing to play, they're playing to beat you. And that mentality, from the best of the best makes them the best.
When you now look at the postseason and you watched it, is there anything that you learned from this postseason?
Well, man, you look at what the Texas Rangers did. They went out and got 2 players that play skilled positions and hit in their middle infielder with Marcus Semien and Seager. And then they went out and got one of the best free agent pitchers available in Eovaldi. And then obviously they got Max Scherzer. They went out and got DeGrom. Talent goes out there and competes each and every day. So, you're always trying to look for the best players. And then sometimes the best players just need more time. I look at our team, I look at our staff, and they just need more time. We got guys that are, in my opinion, are going to be really good baseball players. They just need more time, and sometimes we're not patient because we want to win the World Series next year. Look, I'm going to leave the house for 8 months. Do I want to win the World Series? Yes. But most importantly, I want to stick to the process, get these guys as good as they're capable of being to give us a chance to win as many games as we possibly can. And then over time, we're just going to get better because we got some talent on this team. We got guys. We might not be World Series ready, but we're going to build that mentality. Mark Kotze comes in and does an amazing job of getting these guys motivated to play each and every day. And that's what we do. We go out and we play as hard as we can, and we're going to try to win as many games as we possibly can.
Yeah, when you think about your starting pitchers next year, I know we've talked about it. And, if we're going to look at these numbers about how the bullpen is dominant and the bullpen gets you better numbers in the postseason than your starters do, that means you can't burn these guys out. You're going to need those bullpen guys to still have bullets in the gun by the time you get to the postseason. What's going to help you with that is your starters going deeper in games. What will those conversations be like? Because there was a lot of starts that didn't go very long for the A's last year. How do you preach going into spring training? How do you preach to these guys about their workouts and everything in the offseason? Like, you've got to get us more outs. You've got to give us more innings.
Yeah, I think throwing quality strikes, having good command, being able to move the ball around, get some balls in play early in counts, and then when you get to two strikes, you're able to go for that punch out. Obviously, guys that pitch to swing and miss, in my opinion, are guys that are just throttling that strike zone and pounding strikes the best they can, and their stuff is so good that they're going to get swing and miss. So you got to teach everybody to pound the strike zone, throw as many strikes as you possibly can. The more strikes you throw with plus stuff are the more swing and miss you can get outside the strike zone. The more strikes you can throw with average stuff and change speeds and keep hitters off timing are the more soft contact balls you're going to get in play. So obviously the object is, look, I really want our guys to just really focus on right now going 6 innings. Go 6 innings the best you can. Try to get 6 innings in 100, 105, even 110 pitches. Fill the strike zone up. But now, what's the process to do that? The process to do that is have quality command, change speeds, take the punch out when you can get it. And the more strikes we throw, the better we're going to be. If you look at our teams in the past, we just threw a ton of strikes. We threw a lot of strikes. We pitched to the edges of the plate. Did we throw some more balls down the middle, statistically speaking? Yes, we probably end up throwing more balls down the middle, but we were throwing more strikes. So we got to get this group to believe in their abilities to throw the ball first inside the box, and then second, pitch to the edges of the plate. Try to command the edges of the plate. Fastball is a pitch that can get hit, but it gets hit when you get it close to the middle of the plate. So have that ability to command the baseball to the edges, get that breaking ball down and away, get that changeup down and away to your arm side, and look for that consistent command of strikes, change of speeds, get guys swinging early, maybe get some balls in play early, and then with 2 strikes, take that opportunity to try to punch some guys out.
I know during the offseason, you're always looking to learn. You're always looking to find ways to help your pitchers. This offseason, is there anything really new that you're looking at that you're trying to find that you're trying to get better to be able to help your pitchers?
Well, for the last 4 years, I've always been into the motor preference of a pitcher of how he moves. I really believe if you can maintain a good, solid delivery with good movement, that it increases your success rate of command. So, I've bounced around. I've gone to Tread Athletics this offseason. I've gone up to the Wake Forest pitching lab and just kind of collaborated and talked to those guys, and they do an amazing job with their data. What was great is we're pretty much on the same page in a lot of things, but just learning some extra things that they're doing in their facilities. Because, when our guys leave us, they do have outside influences in the pitching world. And what I want to do is understand what these outside influences are doing and know who our pitchers are talking with and what they're trying to accomplish. We leave them each off season with something to work on, something to do, and then they go to their off season guy. And I like to hear what they're doing on a consistent basis. But all the studies out there, I love to be up to date. But we got a really good support team, or I feel like I got a really good support team, and our analyst, Rob Neighborhouse, one of our assistant GMs, kind of heads up Pike Goldschmidt, and a lot of the guys. Pike's one of our analysts, and Ethan Stewart, our biomechanist, who we hired last offseason to help me understand more, what the data is telling us on pitching mechanics to a whole higher level than we've seen before about total body movement and sequencing and timing. So just learning more about that. I've taken a lot of courses and classes on it, but to have experts in their field being able to collaborate, I think it's a really fun.
There's no doubt. I mean, look at us. We're two former pitchers, right? But you're 6 what?
6'5".
You're 6'5" left-handed. I'm 5'9" right-handed. There's no way our biomechanics work the same. So to be able to figure out what's best for you, I mean, you're going to be more of a fall guy down the mound. I'm going to be more a lower body drive guy, right? In theory, everybody's different. Everybody has, but they're the way we would pitch being 6'5" left-handed versus 5'9" right. So it's like you need to understand how everybody moves, everybody's arms, their slot, everything's different. It's interesting. We were so just worried about radar gun now, and now we've been so worried about what basically StatCast and what the numbers and spins and all that. But really, how does our body move to make all that happen better? That's kind of the new frontier.
Yeah, in the motor preference world, I think what we call an aerial and a terrestrial. Aerials are more dependent on low T-spine mobility, and terrestrials high T-spine mobility, meaning they can disassociate better with their shoulder to hip separation, where aerials are going to depend on more snap. Look, like I said, and you said it, I'm 6'5", you're 5'9". I'm going to look at the strike zone more from the top to the bottom, and you're going to look at the strike zone more from the bottom to the top. So there are such things as tall and fall pitchers. There are such things as drop and drive pitchers. It's just kind of quantifying that. But what it also does is it kind of puts guys into how we should be training physically. You're going to have a tall and fall or an aerial guy probably do more plyometric-based exercises, and the terrestrial, the drop and drive guy is probably going to do more power-based exercises. Pitchers, their arm action, they're long in the back, they're short in the front, or they're short in the back, long in the front. So there's just a lot of different things and a lot of different body parts. So it's always intriguing to understand how the body moves. Now, I wish I could equate that to my golf swing, but I haven't got to that part yet.
Don't even go there.
Well,
why is it going left? Why is it going right? Why do I hit behind the ball? Oh,
yeah, I played in Pinehurst today, and I was all over the left side of the fairway, the right side of the fairway, and then the left side of the green, the right side of the green.
But some people say you got to see the whole course.
And I got it beautiful. I got to see the whole thing.
And then there's the aspect. I one of my old pitching coaches in college said to a guy, "Hey, you're the 10 man." And everybody's like, "You're the 10 man. Yeah, you need to go see the Wizard. You ever see the Wizard of Oz? You got to go find a heart, son." And everybody's like, "Wow." Sometimes we also got to find out what's in here. We got to find out pitchers. Like, you can throw 180 miles an hour and you can have everything. But in the end, when the game starts and you put a catcher and an umpire and a batter, and we got fans, it's on television, it's on streaming, it's on terrestrial radio, it's time to compete. And all that stuff you did in the offseason, great. All the stuff you did in the bullpen, great. Do you get me outs or not? Do you have that heart? Do you have the intestinal fortitude to go out there and compete at the highest level?
Yeah, that's the pitching component. We can get a guy in the bullpen, and we can work on his arsenal, and we can get his pitches better. And then all of a sudden, we have what we call white line fever. You cross that white line, and you're like, look, man, I swear, in the bullpen, this guy is awesome. And then you look at the data and the numbers, and all his stuff is really good. And then just for some reason, you go out in the game, and like you said, the lights turn on. We used to call it a 5 o'clock hitter, right? He can hit homers and BP, but now he's got to face, big league pitching with exploding breaking balls and changing speeds. The balls are moving different. I mean, this is not an easy game. And you have to go out. If the game was played on paper, sometimes it would be great, but it's not. The human element does affect people, and some people just can't do it. And you want to get the guys out there, and that's why, like I always say, 60 starts. Get a guy 60 starts. Get him comfortable. Let's see where he's at. Let's see if he can breathe. He can't breathe out there. We need these guys to breathe. I know, we've had a lot of rookies, pitch for us in the last couple of years, and they come off after that first inning and they're like, my legs are shaking so hard. It takes time and patience, and like I said, though, we got a hardworking group, and it's fun to work with them.
Well, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for us for all these years, really. You've been fantastic. I know Ken Korak says it. I say it. It's been great to have you a big part of our pregame show. And it's always great to have you here on A's Cast Live. I don't know if there's a pitching coach in the business that gives as much time as you do. And obviously, as a veteran of being in radio and doing radio, you're excellent at it. Thank you, really, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, everything you do for us. Have a great Thanksgiving. Have a great Christmas. Keep your phone on. We'll reach out in a little bit, but thank you for everything that you've done, helping us through the postseason, through the season, and I'm excited for 2024.
Yeah, me too. And I appreciate coming on. I love A's fans. I've been in this organization now, 21 years, and the green and gold is special. And we're just going to keep going out there and do the best we can and keep grinding.
Well, you're a coach that cares. There's a lot of people that, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but how you feel about your pitchers, how you care about the players, how you care about their well-being, and you care about them mentally as much as you do physically, it really, really shows. And it just goes to the relationships that you've had with your pitchers, and that even though they may go to other organizations, they've told us, it, what you've meant to them in their careers, what you've meant to this organization. It's second to none. So you be well, my friend, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me.
Scott Emerson, the pitching coach of your Oakland Athletics.